Alright, welcome to another installment of SRT amplification. Today on the bench we have a jWIN JX-CD5000 CD/cassette player with built-in tuner and built-in speakers. I picked this up at the thrift store for $10, and yesterday. It's got built-in three-way stereo speaker system, cassette deck, which is what I really wanted it for, because I got a bunch of cassettes that I wanted to play out here when I'm working out in the shop. So we'll see if that works. CD player and built-in FM/AM tuner, which is digitally synthesized tuner. So let's see what this thing does and see if we have to make any repairs to it. I figured for $10 you can't go wrong. This thing originally retailed for about $100 when it was new. They haven't been available for probably 15 years. But it would have came up with a plastic stand that held it up here kind of at an angle, and a remote control, but I have neither of those things. So right now I have it plugged in to the power strip, the standby light's on, and we'll see what this thing does when I power it up. It looks like there's a built-in clock here. It's set for 0005 right now. Just turned over to 5. So I've had it plugged in for about 5 minutes. So I don't know if it's got an internal battery or it has to stay plugged in all the time in order to maintain time. But it had reverted back to 000 when I just plugged it in about 5 minutes ago. So yeah, it's an LCD display. So let's turn this thing on and see what it does. Okay. So when I turned it on, it has a backlight for the LCD display. Let's see if I can zoom in here and let you see that. Alright, right now it's tuned. Let's see, there's an antenna back here. Okay. Get that antenna up. Okay, let's see here. I'm a little bit steady, but still a little bit rolling stone. I'm a little bit. It's got a pretty good sound to it. Still a little bit flesh and bone. Let's tune it to something else here. If you hold the tune button, it actually does a seek. It stops at the next station that it locks in on. Alright, so that works pretty good. That's the tuner. Let's try the CD now. Okay, so it just ran through the whole CD and it showed me that it's got 12 tracks. And the total length of the CD is 62 minutes and 38 seconds. And then we have to press play. Let's see if we can scroll through some songs here. CD player seems like it's a little bit dirty. I think I need to clean the CD player a little bit, the reader.
I know you think I'm crazy, but
I'd like to call this song.
Well, it does have an EQ and some EQ features. I haven't played around with that, but let's hit the EQ and see what it says. We've got classic, rock, pop, and then no EQ at all. So there's 4 different EQ settings built into it. So I'll experiment around with that. Let's see what we got with the tape. Now before I put a tape in here, I'm just going to see if this thing turns, because the last thing you want to do with the old cassette deck is stick a tape in there and then the cassette deck eat your tape. So let's see what it does here. I'll press rewind or fast forward. Nothing's turning. Stop. That's rewind. Nothing. Play. The head does come up when you press play. The mechanism works, but none of the motors are turning. Or actually, it sounds like the motors are turning, but the wheels here aren't turning. So they're either gummed up or the belts are broke or off of them. So I'm going to tear into this thing and see what I can find out. So there are arrows on the bottom here of all the screws that need to be taken out in order to get to it. Let's see what we have here on the bottom. Okay, so it looks like there's some there's a space for 4 AAA batteries. I don't know that that's enough to power this thing, but maybe that will keep the time and the memory on the clock and your presets for your radio. I don't know. If I can find a manual for this, I will. I may have to end up doing that. Let's unplug this thing and turn it up here and get it taken apart. I'm really not sure why they put arrows on the screws, because it looks like every screw has to come out. So, but anyway. I guess they knew what they were doing. There's a bunch of them. Looks like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 screws total. Alright. I think I did it without breaking anything. That's good. Okay, so there is no power supply in this thing. The power supply is actual adapter on the plug end. But we do have all these little connector things that we have to disconnect before we can separate this back cover. Luckily they're all just little quick connects here. Well, I said that, but it's like one of the ground wires here is an actual soldered on wire, which is crazy. Actual soldered on wire right here. Oh, for the antenna. Yeah, the antenna is actually soldered onto the board here. So we'll see if we can just lay this back behind it. Alright, so let's take a look at this thing. Okay, I got this thing torn apart now. My video cut out, so I don't know where it cut out to, but I've determined that this is the motor for the cassette player, and I've reconnected this power cable back to the main board, and we're going to plug it in and see if this thing actually spins when we try to play a tape. I have to hold this up and then hold this up as well, I guess. Or maybe not. Maybe I can just do it like this. Yeah. It'll work. Okay, so we'll turn it on and open the door. And see if this motor's spinning. The motor is spinning. Fast forward, rewind, and play. Okay, so it looks like a belt problem then. Okay, so let me unplug this, turn it off. So it looks like we have a belt problem. Okay, so I have the board off here and got it flipped over, and when voltage is applied to this motor, this belt, which is kind of loose, still may be operating, was actually turning this pulley right here. This pulley has got a shaft that runs through this deck onto the other side that actually turns the two gears. So, and those are either ran by a belt or through a series of gears. So I've got to take this deck off to see. This is actually turning. When I powered it up, this was actually turning. So it's not that part. So I'm going to take the top of this off, this deck, and we'll look underneath on how this is constructed. Okay, so after removing 4 screws, this deck completely came out of this thing, and I've got it over here on the workbench. And the way this thing operates is this little pulley right here is supposed to have a belt being ran off of this main pulley from up underneath, and it is not there. It does not exist. It is gone. There is no evidence of it whatsoever in the player at all. I've looked, and it either disintegrated or fell out through the top of the machine, but it is gone. So I'm gonna have to locate a belt for this thing, because what happens is that slides over depending on what you're. So like right now in the in the play mode, it should be turning this gear down here, which is turning this one. Yeah, it's got some grease on it, so that's good. And then in the rewind mode, it slides over this way and turns this one. And then in the fast forward mode, it slides over and catches this cog up here and does the fast forward operation. This cog, being a smaller cog, will turn this one faster, and then this cog is the play cog, I believe. Let's see if I'm right about that. Stop, play. Yeah, so it engages the play cog in the play, giving it the speed it needs to play at, and then engages this gear over here for the for the rewind function, and then engages this smaller gear over here for the fast forward function. So yeah, I'm gonna need to get a belt for this thing. So I'll make that happen, and we'll install it and see what it does. Okay, so I've got this cassette deck here, and I just got in a variety of belts. So let's see if we can find one of these belts that may work. Okay, so basically what we have to do here is get this around this bottom pulley and then around this pulley here. So we're gonna have to take this top belt off first. So let's try that. Let's see if I can grab my little probe here, and we'll get this off of here, hopefully. Okay, so that's off. I'll just leave it right over here. And now, to find a belt that is somewhat compatible with this thing. It's looking like probably something like that. Guessing. I think that's going to work. Get it wrapped around here. No, that's not going to work. Let's see. Maybe. There we go. Yep, it's just going to come right off here. Alright, there we go. Okay, so this is going to make this much easier, because now I can get this. Ah, and here we see it. Do you see what I see? There's the, I don't know if you ever see this on camera, but let me get my tweezers here. That's what happened to the belt. I was wondering where it went, but it is totally just rubberfied on there, so I'm gonna have to get this cleaned off. Just gummed up. Alright. Just melted. Basically. So I don't know how that happened, but it is very gummy in there. This is what's left of the old belt. I really got to get all this stuff out of here because it's just gonna gum up the next one, the new one. If I don't, I have to get this thing cleaned up with some isopropyl alcohol. I'm so glad I pulled this off, because I think even if I could have got it around this thing, we would have had problems, and I wouldn't have noticed it. Alright, I got most of the gunk out of there. Now I'm just gonna wash it with some isopropyl and we'll get it put back on there. Okay, I was able to get this thing all nice and clean in there around the spool here, and so I'm gonna get the new belt on there right now. It turned out it's a smaller size than the original one that I was looking at. It's this size right here is what's going to go on it. So, all right, so we'll just get this started, and then as I'm pressing it, it's going to be easy to get this top one on there. As I'm pressing this on there, I got to make sure that this stays in place. So I'm going to have to put some tension on it by putting it on this reel first. Okay. And then sliding it over here. First I thought this one was going to be too tight, but I don't think it is. Alright, so let's try to press this back on there. There we go. And it was just flush right there. That's picking up some crud here. Alright, so let's get this top one back on here. Basically, it goes around the motor pulley. I've got to get it on this pulley first. There we go. Then I can that black gunk is everywhere. Okay. Okay, so let's see how this thing operates. So I've got a quasi DC power supply that I've rigged up here, and off of a little 10 amp rectifier. variable voltage supply. So we'll put 12 volts on this thing and see what it does. Alright. There it goes. Alright, so it's working. Actually seems to be. Let's try the fast forward functions. Yep. Rewind, fast forward, and right in the middle. Play. Alright. So let's get this thing put back together and see if we can play a tape on it. Okay, so I got this thing all put back together, and now it's the ultimate test. I've just got a old recorded mixtape on here from back in the day. It's probably 35 years old, but we'll see what it sounds like.
I said hello unnoticed. You said goodbye too soon.
Well, it plays and it fast forwards.
My respect for you immense. You're ageless, timeless, lace and fineness, your beauty and
Sounds pretty good. I mean, this is a 35-year-old blank tape that was recorded on probably who knows how many times, you know, so I wanted to put this in here before I put one of my other tapes in here. And alright, so let's try another tape. This is one of those karaoke tapes that just have the backing tracks. So let's try this. Oh, might help if I put it on a. Let's see here. So it's working. I don't really care too much for the internal speakers that's with this console, but it does have a line out, so I can always just get some powered speakers here for the shop and run it out to them, and I think I'll get a much better sound quality. Probably boost the volume up a little bit too with some powered speakers. So but like I said, that tape is one of those karaoke backing tracks. So, or not karaoke, but it's just a backing track, I guess, that you can sing to. So, but all right, so that concludes this video. Now the cassette player, CD player, AM, FM radio, everything works on this thing. So I'm happy as a lark. I bought it for $10 and just had to do that minor repair. I think I spent another $6 on the belt assortment, which I probably needed some belts to be, you know, around the shop anyway for repairs and stuff. So don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you haven't. Until next time, thank you.